Go for it.
Okay, well, so, whoop. There I am. Okay, so good morning. I'm Mary Garner-DeVoe with Old Republic Home Protection and have been in real estate for over 30 years, just not here in Richmond. I am a native though. And some of you may be familiar with Old Republic, others not. What I would say to you is, number one, just like all real estate agents aren't the same, all home warranties are not the same. And additionally, who your local representative is and what their perspective is and their ability to advocate for you and the company's willingness to listen to them matters. And I am fortunate to have all of the above. So I look forward to meeting you all in person. And when I talked with Jackie about doing something for you all, I really think that time is like, that's the one thing we don't get back. And I used to teach a time management workshop, and I still have it, but I started thinking, you know, my main thing, and I guess, and I'm going to guess that Drew is going to touch on this, when we try to do all things, we end up wasting a lot of time and doing nothing really with excellence. And I thought, God, the best person I know of, honestly, to share with the folks at Clock Tower isn't for time management, isn't me. It's the best trainer I know of here locally, and that's well, I'm not blowing smoke up your skirt. That's you know, it's the truth. And so I called Drew because he's a professional coach and said, hey, I've got this great idea. Would you do this? So thank you, Jackie and Hugh, for allowing us to be here. And if I get a list of everyone who's here, at the end, I'm going to make sure to deliver to each of you all a trade call fee coupon, which you will be able to use with your clients. And basically, what I would do is give it to them and let them get their locks rekeyed for free. I also have a $50 gift card to Carpool Car Wash. And then I also have a great little book. If you have not seen this.
Oh, what is that?
Yeah, it's called Really Richmond, a City Guide. And it's not a Chamber of Commerce piece. The woman who wrote it, Elizabeth Koger, and we're friends from school, from high school. And she did all kinds of research to do this. And it's got museums and parks and sporting events and arts things, venues. And there's a little bit of history, and she keeps it current by the way she publishes it. Now, not to tell you all what to do, but you notice I've got a business card sticker on the back here. Okay, well, see, now this isn't a gift. Now this is marketing. And so if I give this to you, it's 100% tax deductible. And a tidbit is you can buy this book online or at Mongrel or whatever for $18.99. But if you buy 10 or more from Elizabeth, she gives you a 35% discount. So I would say to you, what could you give your clients that they will hold on to, carry around with your contact information on it for around $12? I would submit that you can't buy somebody a burger for that. So I
love that. It's all about local. I mean, you're the local economist of choice. You guys live, eat, and breathe Richmond, right? So I love that.
So anyway, that's my spiel, and I am just thrilled to be with all of you all. And take it away, Drew Desmarais.
Yeah, so thank you guys for the opportunity. Clock Tower, I'm always impressed with your agents and everything you do. So I'm super proud to be kind of hanging out with the cool kids today. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to go over how to get our time back, because probably something that you've experienced in the midst of the last year is COVID gives us an interesting perspective on time. And so one of the things we're going to walk through today is we're going to talk through the lens of a top producer, and every single person on this Zoom today is a top producer. Whether you're the first, this is your first day on the job, or you've been doing this for 20 years, 30 years, I think thinking like a top producer, a mindset of a top producer is the first step. And so let's get started. And one of the things I want to kind of first start with is 3 focus questions. And what I would coach you to do is to take some detailed notes. I will give you the recording and the PowerPoint, but there's some questions here that I want us to kind of open the floor with and kind of open your minds. I know it's 11 o'clock. You might be on your first or second cup of coffee, but how are top producing agents able to get more done than others, right? So if you are a top producer and an agent in your office is just knocking out of the park, how are they able to get more done? There's only 24 hours in a day, right? How can we, as top producers, find balance between our personal life and our business? One thing I know, being in real estate for really pretty much my whole life, because my family has been in real estate forever, I always saw that kind of challenge at the dinner table. We talked about real estate all the time. And so when I got into real estate, I made an oath to my family that I wouldn't talk about real estate at the dinner table. So how do we find that balance in our personal life and our business? Because there's no end time and end date, as you guys know, because you work really hard for your clients. And then the last one is, how can top producing real estate agents still have the freedom in the midst of this crazy market? I know you guys have to jump in your cars a lot of times to go show buyers because the market is insane. And so we're going to talk about kind of strategies on how to kind of figure out what you're going to say yes to and what you're going to say no to. And I know that that's hard. As a coach and as a real estate agent myself, I see that counterbalance right now, and it is crazy the market is. So I'm excited about this because this is the perfect timing. We're about 6 weeks away from hitting halfway through the year. We're also kind of coming, quote, out of COVID. A lot of us have been vaccinated and the world's kind of starting to open up. So that's going to put a different perspective on our time than maybe the previous year. So I just wanted to give you 3 focus questions as we go forward with this kind of workshop today. It's not a webinar. I want you guys to be completely, I don't want to talk the whole time. I want to have a conversation with you. It's not a webinar. So interact with me, interact with Mary, interact with you, interact with all of us. Cameras on would be awesome. I love seeing smiling faces, but unmute yourself. I know Zoom is weird. We like kind of over talk each other because we can't figure out who's talking and who's not. That's all good. It's all okay. So make sure that you're interacting with us. Also, I'm referencing a lot of books. I love books. And so I have a whole stack of books that we're referencing today. That's a ton of them. And it's about time management, right? So you'll see in the PowerPoint here, a little book reference, a little icon of a book. So if you want to purchase any of these books, I'd encourage you to do so. I just love the fact that many people have come before us and told us the path. We just need to read it, learn, and grow from it. So most of what you're hearing today comes from either my experience, my clients' top producers' experience, or what I've read in a book. And I think that's important for us to realize that we don't have to have it all figured out. Other people before us do, okay? So let's get started. First thing is, you may not know who I am, and that's okay. That's great. I put this here because I don't even know half the stuff that I actually have accomplished in my life, but I am a licensed real estate agent for 16 years. I cut my teeth in new construction. My first couple of years, I worked in a sales model, and then I went into, and I ended up owning my own brokerage, boutique brokerage. And ironically, like, Clock Tower really embodies a lot of the boutique brokerage mentality that I I opened almost 14 years ago. So I really have an appreciation for your brokerage. And so then I opened a property management company, and then I transitioned to a brokerage that possibly in the local market called Keller Williams. And then I became a coach inside that organization. I did leave Keller Williams in December of last year to launch my own company, an independent company we call the Freedom Companies, and we are a business coaching and training event. But there's really who is this guy? Who am I? This is my world right here. And so I think all of us, it's about time management, right? It's about what is a priority for us. My two girls, my daughter and my wife were my world. And I saw a shift or a focus change for me. And I know all of you on this call today are very driven, professional people. And yet we sometimes find we get out of balance. And me personally, I'm so competitive. I'm so excited about what I do that sometimes I'm so focused on work, I forget really the priorities there. And so that was one of the main reasons why I left kind of the corporate or the umbrella company and started my own company. And I said, well, what name would I come up with as an independent coach? And the word freedom came to mind because I literally got in the business, and I hope that you guys, when you worked, quote, for the man and worked for maybe a corporation, you chose real estate to have the freedom, the flexibility to do what you wanted to do, when you wanted to do it, to have the time with your family, your spouse, your partner, anything to do that. And then you got into this business, and you're like, crap, this is a lot of work and a lot of time, right? And so I dedicate my time and my effort and my skills and my ability to help people kind of unlock that freedom potential. And that's why I'm super passionate about this topic, because yes, is there a ton of real estate right now to be had? Yes. Are we breaking records with transactions and volume? Yes. Are sales prices crazy high? Yes. But one of the things that we can't get back, and Mary mentioned that, is we can't get our time back. So in the midst of all the hustle and the bustle and all the transactions that you're going through, what I want to walk you through today is how do we find that balance and get some of our time back for the priorities that we really see true over time, okay? Any question before we kind of launch into the material? Any thoughts? You can disagree with me. I'm okay with that. Is there does anything resonate with you, what I just said there?
I think a lot of it resonates with me because, like, for me, my kids are my world. So, like, missing out on family time stuff, which is why I switched from corporate Verizon to real estate, because, Black Friday and all those things, missing Thanksgivings and stuff just sucked. And so now I'm able to do all the things that I need to do, pick up my kids. My schedule is super flexible. Like this week, I'm even helping my sister pick up her kids because she's working, and the person that normally does it is on vacation this week. So I love this field, and I think I have a really good work-life balance, to be honest, for me personally.
And I think I love that you said that, Henry, because I think some of us that have been in the business, we get a little jaded in this business because we forget that we do have that freedom and flexibility. And maybe we're just making some of the wrong choices, right? So we always say, when you say yes to something, you say no to something else. And I'll tell you, I was a product of that. I said yes. No one forced me to do anything that I did in the past. I made a choice to say yes to that. And I made a choice, conscious or unconscious, to say no to the other thing, right? So I love, Henry, that you're so aware of that. And so I want all of you guys to kind of chime in and this kind of training together. This is all a journey. We don't have it all figured out, regardless of how long we've been in the business. There's 4 strategies that I want to kind of go over with you today that I have experienced myself, or again, that I coach, and I see top producers really strive to focus on. And not a lot of them. There's 4 strategies. So these are things that you could pick up on, you definitely can do. But realize that Rome wasn't built in a day. All these strategies are dominoes, one at a time. And so don't really think you have to, implement all of these things all at the same time. All right. Well, the first one that we see is how we get our time back is that discipline and habits. Right? We talk about that a lot of time in fitness or in like diets or, anything in that world. but real estate is actually more of a discipline and a habit. And top producers know that real estate is not sexy. A lot of times what we see on HGTV or what our consumers see on HGTV is this amazing glamorous life. We drive around in Ferraris and drink martinis all day, and we know that we're actually cleaning countertops and vacuuming carpets, and it's just crazy amount of stuff that we do, right? So we know as top producers that real estate is not sexy, right? But the key thing that we see is finding key activities that work for you to be consistent in everything that you do, even when you're busy. So if in my formal life, I coach new agents, I would say, hey, what do you think you're good at? And they would tell me. And then I would say, what are some of the things that you don't love, right? And the interesting thing is, and this may contradict some of the things that you've been coached or trained to in the past, is they always would say, a lot of the coaches or trainers, I would have lead generation, right? Cold calling. I would get a pit in my stomach. I would like literally want to throw up when I did cold calling. Now, some of my clients love it. Good for them. And so I tried to push through that. I did the FSBO thing. I did the expired thing. And I just found that I point blank sucked at it, right? So I transitioned to find things that worked for me, relationships, building business to business relationships as well. Parties, fun stuff, right? And I built a business, and many of my clients build businesses that way. So the first thing is that I want you to think about is, what are you good at, right? What are those things that you're really good at that you enjoy in this business? And then what are the things that you're trying to do, like trying to just eat that frog is what they constantly tell us, that you just like, it gives you something in the pit of your stomach. And we'll talk about that a little bit more, but that is one of the things that we talk about with discipline and habits. I always tell, and I coach my clients, it's like chopping down a tree, right? If I need to chop down the tree, I just need to keep swinging the axe in the same spot every day, and eventually the tree will fall. So what are you swinging at every day? Are you just like a machete and you're just all over the place and you're just swinging at anything and everything that comes in your way? Or do you have one tree, one tool, and you're consistently and disciplined having that habit of hacking at that same spot? And what I find, myself included, is that a top producer, sometimes we're just trying to grab at anything and everything. So I would say the first strategy to get more time back is find what you love and be consistent at that, right? And so one of the things in discipline and habits, and these are coming from, this is actually coming from an awesome book. One of my favorites most recently is The 12-Week Year. If you're not in control of your time, then you're not in control of your results. I'm going to say that again. If you're not in control of your time, then you're not in control of your results. And I find it interesting. I feel like we're a little bit in like this situation where some of us are having successful results. The market is pushing our results up and we're excited, right? When the market changes, shifts, anything like that, will we still have the same results? Because our habits and our disciplines will determine that. So think of it like a cork in the ocean. Are you just going with the waves and the current of the ocean? So when the market's up, your business is up. When the market goes down, are you going down with the market, right? Discipline and habits. You'll see top producers are consistent with their production. Maybe they don't see huge spikes in their production, but they also don't see huge cliffs and defaults in that, right? So I want you to challenge yourself, like if you're looking at how do I get time back, discipline and habits, that might be your first strategy. To become great, you must choose to allocate the time to the greatest opportunities. We have so many shiny objects in our business. People are calling us. People are asking us for money. I always say it's like weddings and funerals and real estate agents. They come at us with, for $49.95, they can give us a lead. They can give us that. They can give us this, right? We have to be top producers and make decisions on what's the greatest opportunity for us and avoid all the rest of those shiny objects. And that's the biggest challenge I see in coaching top professionals, is that those discipline habits, we create them, and then this outside force comes in, aka a salesperson, and they sell us this widget for $49.95, which is supposedly this silver bullet, right? So make sure you're choosing the greatest opportunities. And so one of the things that I'll tell you is that we've got to realize many people spend significant amount of time and energy attempting to eliminate their weakness, right? I want you to think about the other way. Again, I was giving you an example of for-sale by owners and expireds. I should have abandoned that process for me sooner. I should have leaned into what I was good at, leaned into what I loved and enjoyed, and I would have had a higher production and a quicker rate. But if you're doing something right now that you don't enjoy, because you're trying to eliminate that weakness, you're trying to get through that, I would challenge you, concentrating on your strengths will produce the greatest achievement. This quote comes directly from the 12-week year. Many professionals have come before us, and it's focusing on what you're good at. And I know this was like, duh, Drew, we get that. But sometimes we choose the harder path, which unfortunately takes up our time and gets us frustrated, and that's what bogs us down. So make sure you're focusing on that. Has anybody ever seen this Michael Phelps clip before? You see this? What is going on here? What's going on in this photo here? What do you think is going on?
Looks like his opponent's looking to see if he's winning or not.
Right. So the guy in the green cap's looking at Michael Phelps like, where's this dude at, right? I think part of the discipline and habits and that shiny object syndrome is what I call RECS. Real estate comparison syndrome. I made it up. It's my word. I'll trademark it or something. RECS, real estate comparison syndrome. We have amazing people in our brokerage. We have amazing people in our industry. We see them on TikTok. We see them on Facebook. We see them in our office when we can get back there, right? And we're like, he's great at for sale by owners, so I should adopt that same behavior. She's really good at mailing this flyer out, so I should be doing the same thing. I would challenge you that you got to realize your discipline and your habits are going to be different than your other cohorts. Your discipline and your habits are going to have to be customized to your personality and your sphere of influence, your circles of people that you hang out with. So one of the things when I see people go to a training or a workshop and we teach foundational principles of discipline and habits, they start and then they get off track because someone they heard at the sales meeting said they're doing this. Good for them, but that doesn't mean you need to adopt all of those same habits and behavior. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yes, I 100% agree. And it said, focus on your sphere. In fact, we track it right now. All the people that I coach, 48% of our business as a whole on closed volume every month is coming from our sphere of influence. More now than ever, especially because of COVID. You love on your people, you're going to get threefold the return on that. But I tend to see on this first principle, like it's all about being aware of what you're good at.
Hey, Drew.
Yep.
Drew, what you call that RECS, R-E-C-S, I call that paralysis by analysis.
Yes, perfection. Yes, yes, absolutely. And Hugh, why do you think, like in your experience of coaching your people, why do you think that, I feel like that's so prevalent in our business versus other industries. Why do you think that's so prevalent?
I'm not sure. I think we've got agents, I'm not going to name names.
Sure.
When I was at Keller Williams, I had one agent who could not get out of their own way because they were so concerned about what other top producing, good selling agents were doing. So they could try to emulate that.
Right.
And I finally said to this agent, you need to stop doing that.
Yeah.
You can't get out of your own way because you're too busy wondering how these other agents are doing what they're doing.
Right.
Do what you want to do.
And can you imagine if they put that same effort and energy and time into their strength, what their business would look like?
Yeah,
I think
I can tell you, I keep going into MLS and looking at their stats every now and then. They haven't listened to me.
Yep. So that's, as a top producer, what Hugh's saying is that's the silver bullet to this business. It really is. Finding what you're good at, keep rowing in the same direction. One thing I also see inside that is you try something and you don't try it long enough, right? you know, oh, I made 2 phone calls, it didn't work. Okay, well, 2 phone calls isn't enough, right? So keep rowing in the same direction. Awesome. And then one of the things about habits, so you all got dressed today, hopefully you're not naked, although some Zooms I hear that's happened, is we all got dressed today. It was automatic. We woke up, we have a routine. Some of us put our socks on and our pants on, like some of us put on our outfits in a different order, but it's so automatic and we don't even think about it. So what I'm challenging guys to do to kind of really dovetail into this is, what are the daily habits in real estate that you can do consistently, and it's you don't even think about it, right? It's just those consistent things. Again, the example I said with the axe and the tree, you're consistently chopping at the same spot, right? So we coach to that a lot in our organization. It comes from another amazing book called, and I just finished this book, I don't know if you guys, Atomic Habits is amazing. Like, it's my most recent favorite book. And it says, many of our failures in performance are largely attributed to the lack of self-awareness. Changing habits to maintain awareness is key. So we come up with this new diet, or we come up with this new strategy to get real estate leads, right? But we don't track our progress. We're not aware, are we doing this consistently? Did we do it on Monday, but we got too busy with 5 home inspections on Friday that we didn't do it, right? So one of the things that our organization does is we focus on what we call the core 5 daily habits. And each one of my coaching clients, we establish what their core habits are. And every single person is different, right? And so these are an example. Again, we don't want to emulate and carbon copy because they need to be yours. We're Michael Phelps. It's your race, right? So, but these are 5 examples of core habits. These are habits that you do every day, Monday through Friday, and you notice that they're not large quantities. Hugh and I come from an organization where they had a training and you would do this crazy amount of contacts in one day, and then they would ask you to do it in a week, right? Is that sustainable? Like, could I go on a 6-mile run right now? Yes, but if I'm not used to running, I'm going to do that today and then probably fall in the bed and die for the next week and need to take some Advil, right? So what core habits for us is, can you do those? Is this a repetitious thing that you can do every single day, even on the hard days, even on the days that you got 3 home inspections, right? So 5 text messages, 2 handwritten notes, 1 CMA, 1 social media post, 5 emails, right? So you come up with your core 5, and it has to be printed, and you have to cross it off every single day, right? And so these are your core 5 habits. And so what many of us do is we have it written down in a journal, or if you do a handwritten calendar. Some of us have, created them on like index cards. I don't care what they are. But the thing is, what they find is, number 1, is that you have to have this recall. Yes, you know what the 5 are. You'll start to memorize them. But there's a chemical in your brain. When you cross these items off, you feel the win. And in real estate, it's sometimes hard to feel the win. Can I get an amen? Especially with like 7 offers not accepted, right? So what I would challenge, if you're going to go to daily habits, possibly use the core 5 and say, what 5 things am I going to do? And do them consistently. Keep whacking at that tree at the same time, right? And so what we found is that by doing this, you're increasing by 1% a day, right? So it's that concept of those dominoes it's 1% a day, which 1% a day, add it all up, it's 365 days a percentage of progress, right? So something's going to happen, right? Your leads are going to accelerate, your conversion's going to get better, right? Something's going to show up because you're being consistent at it. So then let's talk about recovery. So let's say you have your core 5 and today the whole day went to hell, right? Your kid's sick, your dog threw up, like home inspection from hell, right? Simple rule, again, not from something I've personal experience, comes from Atomic Habit. It says a simple rule: never miss it twice, right? So if you miss today, tomorrow you're back on it. This is the difference though. I was coached and trained to take the difference and add it to the next day. So if I was supposed to make 5 phone calls today and I only did 2 of them, I'm supposed to take the 3 I missed today and add it to tomorrow. Does that make sense? So tomorrow, I'm supposed to do 8 phone calls. The challenge with this is you keep adding more bricks to your shoulder. So now when we look at time management, you were supposed to do 5 calls. Now tomorrow I have to do 8. So then I'm super freaking stressed out. So then I missed that. And then by Friday, I'm up to 20 calls in one day. And guess what happens? Our willpower, our mindset says, the hell with this, I'm not doing it. So what I would coach and challenge you to do is if you miss something, get back on track the next day, right? But no makeup days. Just go back to your core 5. And yes, you did 2 yesterday. You know what? That's that day. Give yourself some grace, forgiveness. We have a hard time forgiving ourselves. We're the worst critic of ourselves. But work our way through, and then use those as we go forward. So I want to pause here. What are you hearing with this process? What are you doing that you think you can implement into your business to get into this discipline and habit mindset? I know Henry's participating, Hugh's participating, but I know there's others on the call.
Drew, I was just curious. I noticed that on the example of the 5 tasks, you didn't put calls.
Yeah, that's correct.
And I know like mostly every coaching program says the power hour and things. So would this kind of replace the power hour?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, we are finding that the 5 text messages are prompting the phone calls. So I'm saying, hey, I hope you're having a great morning. Hey, I noticed you went to Hawaii last week. How was that? Yeah, I want to chat with you for a few minutes on the phone when you get a chance, because everybody's so busy. So we actually coach a scripting dialogue that the text is the lead up to the call. Because what we're finding is that when you call, ring, ring, they don't answer. And what we're finding also is private messaging is even working better. Like private messaging and say, hey, I was thinking of you today. I want to chat with you on the phone. I know you're busy. What can I connect with you over the phone? So I love that you caught that, because we don't actually, again, we don't lead with a call. We lead with a conversation, because it's about, in our opinion, it's about permission. Like if you're calling me and I'm busy, I'm declining the call, even though I love you, Jackie, but I got other things I have to, again, prioritize in my day. Does that answer?
And Drew, I think that is so spot on. Because think about this, unmute and just a yay or a nay. When you all receive a phone call and you answer the phone, how often are you answering it, but it's really not the best time for the conversation? Like you really don't want to have the conversation right now, but you don't want to miss the call.
Yep. And also the way that they're talking, they're answering your question, but they're not listening to your question.
Right. Whereas a text, the permission thing, and I'll even say, could we arrange a time? When agents have their buyers call me to talk about a warranty, I will email the buyer a PDF of the plan and then say, let's schedule a time to talk so that I can be really present and answer their questions and vice versa,
Yep, absolutely. So does that answer, Jackie? It does. I think a lot of I call them old school coaching and training models. They're like, do these 5 things and duplicate them and do them over and over again. What I feel like is you need to customize that to your personality and your client base. I have some people that emails, they don't read emails. So I'm like, then don't have that as your core 5. If you know your client base doesn't read emails, don't send emails. We need to find the way that they connect with each other. And if you do have people that answer the phone, then yes, your core habit should be 5 calls or 2 calls or whatever it is, okay? All right, so we kind of covered that 1%. And the last thing with habits is the desire. So this is an old school book. I mean, you know this book, yeah. This is like a book, and I've bought it a couple times because this damn thing, I wear it out. I love some Stephen Covey. And he gives this example, and it's so true. Like with us being top producer, we have the knowledge. We know what to do. We know why we're doing it. Like, we know that. Like, that's in our core as a real estate agent. And then we also have the skills. Like, many of us have been trained and coached for years by some of the best in the industry. So we know how to do it. And we come out of this amazing training or workshop or something, and then we go, yeah, my life got too busy. I ran out of time. Well, what it's connected to is the desire. Do I even want to freaking do it? Right? And so Stephen Covey talks about this kind of sweet spot in the middle. And it's that habit. It's that discipline of that habit. So one of the things is we already have the knowledge to be successful in this business. We already have the knowledge to know how to get our time back. All of us on this call today know how to do it. We know that we need more time. We know we need to say no to certain things. We also have the skills that we've been taught through different trainings that we've all been to. But for some reason, I also change the word desire. I cross that out often when I'm doing this in a visual, is to the pain. When the pain gets so great, then our knowledge and our skills kick in. When I got so frustrated that I couldn't spend time with my two girls, my wife and my daughter, the pain got so great, I knew I had to what to do, and I knew how to do it. I had to make a transition and change in my life, right? And so a lot of times when we're going into trainings, people are teaching us the knowledge and the skill, but that's not what's triggering the desire of our habits. It's actually, do you want to do it? And in my opinion, a lot of us are stubborn, aka me. I do it until it gets painful. And then I'm like, Uncle, all right, I need to switch up. My time, my schedule needs to be kind of prioritized in a way that I can find some air, some downtime. Okay. So I want you to go into that first kind of strategy, thinking about what are the disciplines and the habits that I have? And is there something I can do 1% different to change that so I can get more time back? That's that first strategy. Second strategy is balance. Balance is a lie. I don't know whoever said that doesn't understand real estate for sure. But life doesn't have that balance. And so this comes from The One Thing, also a good book, love it. It talks about you can't chase two rabbits at the same time, right? That's kind of the iconic One Thing quote, right? Well, I'll be damned. In real estate, I think we're chasing 6 or 7 rabbits every day, right? So when you're gambling with your time, you may be placing bets on something you can't cover, is the quote in there, right? And so I want you to see this ballerina. Is anybody in dance, anybody in a ballerina? Henry, you a ballerina? No, I'm just kidding. Anybody a ballerina in this space, right? So this is, does anybody know what this picture on the right is? It's obviously a ballerina, I get that. But she's on her toe, right? She's on point. So one thing that's interesting, and it talks about in many of the books that I kind of read, is that it looks like she's balancing on her toes. Would you guys agree if you've ever seen a ballerina? But what she's actually doing is she's counterbalancing her arms and her other leg. What she's doing is she's using the other appendages of her body to make sure it gives the illusion that she's balanced on her toe. So really, in reality, we have to work on counterbalancing our life. So it gives the illusion that you're in balance. So yes, are you going to have to work 6, 7, 12, 10, crazy hours Monday and Tuesday? Maybe. But maybe on Wednesday, you know what? You go grab a margarita at 3 o'clock, right? So that counterbalance is just as important. And I think one of the things that I realized that again, as a coach and also as an entrepreneur is I thought there was this illusion like I could work 4 days and I could take 1 day off. Like I could find that balance. Well, in this market, you can't do that. Like if you need to say, hey, I'm going to take Wednesday off and my buyer says, hey, I want to look at 123 Smith Street, you've got to show him or her that house or it's gone, right? So we've got to figure out what that counterbalance is. And so one of the things I would challenge you to do is you got to build in the counterbalance. Because no matter how hard you try, there was always going to be something left undone. It's a fact of life. And the beauty of it is that that's why we got in this business, so we could be creative, we could be entrepreneurial, we could come up with these amazing ideas and implement them in our business. So our ideas are endless, meaning our to-do list never gets really done. right? So that counterbalance approach starts with us. And if you're a mom or you're a dad or you're a partner or a spouse, that's not always the case, right? So fit your oxygen mask first, right? Put it on first before you can help others. We are such selfless servants that I'm telling you, strategy number 2 to find that counterbalance is you've got to find a way to put yourself at the center of this, right? And so it starts with putting self-care days on your appointment schedule. Do you have that on your calendar? Can you see it visually, right? So one of the things, I'm a big Google Calendar guy, and so one of the things that I do is I color code my schedule. I'm going to show you my schedule. And by all means, I'm not perfect. But things in blue are about me. It's my time to come up for air. It's my time to spend time with my family. It's time. I literally schedule lunch, and you think that's crazy, but otherwise I work through lunch. How many of you have like looked up from your laptop at 4 o'clock going, shit, I didn't even eat today, right? That's self-care. I can know as, yeah, he's like, yeah. Like that's so basic, but in our business, we're on the run. So one of the things I would definitely challenge you guys to do is, what are your self-care days? And when I coach my clients, I want to see it. Like I literally will ask them, what are the days of this week that you're going to take off? What's your recharge day? What's your next vacation? And we talk about that. And you know what, for top producers, the common answer is, I don't have that on my calendar. I don't have that scheduled, right? So if we're really working to get our time back as a top producer, that has to be a priority for us. It has to. And so as I coach my clients, that's just as important as making 5 text messages or 5 phone calls or 2 handwritten notes, right? It's not all about the work. And so we have this hustle culture especially in the United States, right? And we have these 2 common phrases that we all say. So I'll call one of my clients and I'll say, hey, how's your day going, right? And they're like, oh my God, I'm so busy. Oh my God, I need a day off. For some reason in our culture, we think that's a good thing to say. We think that's some feather in our cap, that's a star on the wall that says, wow, you're working super hard, right? How about the fact that we need that counterbalance? Yes. Did you hit your goals? Yes. And oh, by the way, I'm taking the weekend off because I've hit my goals, right? So one of the things I would challenge you to do is, are you a workaholic? I am. I need to be like an AA, right? Like I have to realize that I've got to find that counterbalance. And I think in a culture where we're in that hustle culture, we've got to kind of recognize that. So this is a focus question for this strategy. Do you have them planned off in your schedule? Do you have them? Do you know the sunny beach that you're going to? Do you have them booked? Do you have them paid for? Like non-negotiable, they're in your calendar. Also, what are your hobbies? It's interesting, I asked that question to top producers. That's harder than asking them how many houses they sold last month. You know why they have no hobbies? Because they work all the time. They have no hobbies, right? So if you had 3 months off, bills paid, responsibilities taken care of, what would you do? That is the question I want you to write down in your notebook. That is what I want you to dwell on after this workshop is over, because if you've lost that spot, if you've lost that, you can gain that back. What did you used to love? What hobbies did you used to have before you got into this freedom, really flexible schedule called real estate? Because if we're trying to get our time back, we got to know where we're going to spend it. Because if you start shaving off and strategically are making different choices, where are you going to get that reward from? So if I were to pause here, do you guys have that scheduled? And it's okay if the answer is no, there's no judgment. Do you guys have time off? Do you have those self-care days scheduled? What's the consensus there?
I don't think I have them scheduled, but I definitely take them. Like this past weekend, I took my kids to Great Wolf and didn't answer my phone and Didn't do it. Didn't even look at it. Didn't
I
even.
mean, that was a spontaneous trip. Like you didn't have a book, but you're like, just
No, we had a
out of
book.
Dodge, right?
We had it booked. It was because we were celebrating both my kids' birthdays, and so, because they're so close together because of COVID, we're not able to really do birthday parties, and they didn't have one last year. So we just said, screw it, let's book Great Wolf. We're going. We're going to recharge, and it was the most amazing thing that I've ever done in my life. I got to spend some good quality time with my daughter. I got to spend some good quality time with my son, and also good quality time with the wife.
Yeah.
So it was really, really good. And I like this week, I'm like, I'm ready to go. What are we doing? You know?
Yeah, you're recharged. It's literally we're like batteries, right? So you're recharged. I love that, Henry. And I think the thing is that we've got to just keep that in perspective because we make good money, we work super hard, and yet we need to kind of think about that. And what I tend to see is we don't plan it out. And I love that you had it on a birthday. But what about in 2 weeks when there's not an anniversary or not a birthday? Will you be as excited, right? Because we tend to kind of do the iconic birthdays or the anniversaries, but 3 weeks from now, you may be getting a little burnout and need a little break again, right?
Actually funny, my mother-in-law's coming to town, so that's already planned out too for June.
So I would just say, if nothing else, look 1 quarter ahead, 3 months ahead. Like, what do I have on my calendar? So when I was showing you my calendar, anything personal is in blue. Anything that's training or tasks, I do in yellow. And anything that's making me money, guess what color that is in? Green, right? Money generating activities, opportunities of networking, anything like that, right? So I am conscious about where I'm spending my time. And some days it's a ton of green. Some days it's a ton of yellow. And then I go, oh, I'm off. I'm counterbalancing. So this week was a ton of training and this week was a ton of work. Well, guess what? By next week, I'm going to have more blue in my schedule because I've got to see that counterbalance when it comes to that. So the second strategy is just to really be aware of that self-care and have that in your schedule. So the third one is what we call play the short game. Again, I've been coached and trained my whole life, even before real estate, that you do an annual business plan. Does everybody do an annual business plan like October, November? You get excited, you do it, right? You plan it all out. You figure out how many houses you've sold, right? And at Keller Williams, when I was there, they had what they call a GPS and a 411, amazing little resource tools. Well, I've always coached and trained to that. And then guess what happened? COVID happened. I had this amazing plan. Did you guys do business plans last year, right? And then COVID happened, and then did you have the oh shit moment? What am I going to do? Like, am I going to have to move somewhere? Am I going to have to sell my house, my cars, right? Did anybody have that experience, or was it just me? Because my whole life, our whole family was like, all right, well, maybe we can move in with my mother-in-law. Like, I could just sell all our shit, right? So one of the things I've realized, and also by reading the book, The 12-Week Year, which is an amazing book, is that it says that old school mindset of doing everything on a yearly basis is not healthy for our time management, and it's also not healthy for our mindset. It's too far away. We have to touch things closer. So consider seeing the goal in sight rather than it too far away. So we do what we call a 12-week GPS, which is basically a quarter. It's 3 months, right? So when I coach someone, if you're coming in, whatever week you come in and say, I start to coach you, we establish a 12-week plan. And each week, I'm going to show it to you in a second. Each week is one thing you're going to do. Again, it's a measurable activity. It's nothing like crazy, like I'm going to climb Mount Everest tomorrow. It's manageable activities. So I would challenge you, number 3, for how do I get my time back, is play the short game rather than the long game. Because sequentially, over time, that's going to be better for your mindset, and it's also going to be better for your time management. So I use a ton of Google Docs. So this is an example of a modified form that we use. And so it's the GPS stands for goal, priority, and strategy. That's what GPS stands for. And again, historically, this is a year plan. And we all did them. We were excited. COVID hit. And we're like, whoa, what the hell happened? We can't use it. Like, it doesn't even work, right? So interestingly enough, I know that brokerage and other brokerages kind of are now adopting more of this 12-week year. So this is like cutting edge. right? This is what now a lot of people are doing rather than doing those big, huge business plans for the entire year. So you're only planning it out for 12 weeks. So what am I going to accomplish in the 12 weeks? So in this example, it's 6 closings in the next 3 months, right? I still figure out my priorities. So maybe in this example, it's database nurturing, time management, which is ironic, organization or systems, right? And then I figure out each week what I'm going to do for each one. And then I'm going to say, when is it going to be completed by? This is a grocery list, right? That's what this is. And I always give this analogy. If you've ever been to the grocery store without a grocery list, have you guys ever been to the grocery store without it? What happens when you go to the grocery store without a list?
You get more stuff than you need, or you forget
Yep.
things.
Yeah, so those damn Oreos end up in the damn cart. I don't know how that happens.
But you forget the paper towels, and you realize
You forget
when
the
you get home.
essentials that you
Right.
actually came for.
Right.
And then what about your time? Do you go down the aisle and you're like,
End up
crap, I
spending more
forgot
time there than you
and
wanted
more
to.
time on it, right? So this tool, this GPS tool modified into a 12-week plan is about those 3 things. It's about the essentials, it's about your time management, and it's about focusing on the right things. And then there's just that simple gratification of checking it off the damn list that says I actually accomplished what I said I was going to do. Or that went crazy, we move to the next week and we'll keep working our way down the list. So one of the things I would challenge you to do is to play the short game. Is consider looking at a 12-week start this week. It's early in the week. Well, you know what? What is it, Wednesday? Monday. What am I going to do next week and work 12 weeks down? It doesn't have to be in this perfect quarterly situation. In fact, the book says it's not about a quarterly goal. It's literally about week to week to week. So don't wait till 3rd quarter to do this. Start on Monday. Say, that's week 1 for me. I'm going to do week 1, week 2, week 3. And again, we focus on it based on that GPS. And I'll show it real quick one more time. Again, it's goal, priority, and strategy. Anybody's KW world, I think Q and Jackie probably have seen this document. We've modified it in a way that is effective more for our work-life balance or counterbalance there, right? So, and realize that everything has to have a number. Like, I'm going to sell some houses is not a goal. I'm selling 6 houses in 3 months with a measurement. In this example, I currently have 150 people in my database. The goal is to get to 300. All right, well, can I do that in a week? Maybe I can't, right? So I got to figure out what that balance and counterbalance is there, okay? Any questions before I move on? Does that make sense? Does that any of that resonate with you guys? Yeah? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay. The last part of that 12-week, though, is that you've got to have a reward. I'm trying to figure out a way to put you guys. One of the things is that, again, we don't reward ourselves enough. And if you're going to follow a 12-week plan, you have to have a carrot and a stick mentality. We all have to. It's cave mentality. It's fight or flight. It's how we're wired, right? So I put this Rolex in front of me. I don't actually have a Rolex. I have a Movado, right? So at the end of 1st quarter, I had my 12-week goal. I hit it, and I bought a watch, right? So we create the plan. You have the activities weekly. You identify what your reward is up front. Does anybody treat themselves with a goal and then a reward? Does anybody on the, what do you spend money on or time on? Mary, what do you set a goal. What's an example of a reward that you've had for yourself?
Well, okay, so there was this really pretty bedding that I wanted, and very expensive, and I thought, I really want that. It's a lot of money, so when I do thus and such, then I get to have it. Like I got off of it was a lot of money, and that I really wanted it, and I did what I said I was going to do, and I went in and
Yeah.
bought it.
And the reward has to be about you. Like, it's not like buying my family something like a Disney trip, right? It needs to be a selfish reward, right? So
Yep.
be very clear that it cannot be, because all of you guys are such awesome humans, but you will be notorious for like, I'm going to buy my kids a toy, or I'm going to go to Disney World with my, like, this is I should have added selfish reward. Reward yourself. Like, you're not buying your spouse, partner, somebody else something. It's for you, right? Because you spent the last 12 weeks kicking your own ass to get this stuff done, right? The last thing on the screen, though, is this: tell someone your reward. Tell them. That's called peer accountability. So guess what? I told my wife, hey, first quarter goal was X. I'm going to buy myself a new watch. About 3 or 4 weeks in, she's like, how you doing with your goal? I'm like, I mean, I'm kind of getting there. And then right? And so 2 to 3 weeks prior, she's like, are you going to be able to buy your watch or not? And I'm like, dang it, I'm working on it, right? So that peer accountability, tell someone your reward. It's all about, again, that focusing on better time management. It's allowing you to focus your time and energy on what's important, which is what you identified in that 12-week plan, right? I just really want you to think about that, because we all, like we said at the beginning of this, what you say yes to, you say no to something else. And oftentimes we say no to ourselves. It's a little bit with the self-care, but that reward is connected to you. And I like nice things. I like nice cars. I'm okay with that. I work hard to earn that, right? So be able to go focus on that. And so I want you to kind of, the last strategy, because I know we're on for time, leverage. I could go on about this for like another hour. Leverage should not wait. A top producer understands that leverage gives them back time. And the interesting thing is, when I say leverage, a lot of times people think I have to hire an assistant. That's not necessarily true, right? So these are the focus questions. If you're like, what should I hire? What should I do to get some time so I can breathe, so I'm not doing all this paperwork, or I'm not doing all this marketing, or I can just sit down with my kid on the floor and color, right? Focus questions on who's going to do it, how will they do it, and what will they do with it. That actually comes from what we call the MREA book. It's called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And it talks about the power of leverage. The interesting thing is we talk about the people part a lot, but there's actually 2 before that. And you see on the right, it's systems and then technology. So before we hire the people, we have to implement the proper leverage systems and the proper leverage technology, right? So before you get like hot and bothered, like, oh my God, I have to spend money on an assistant, think about it different, right? So it's systems, technology, and then people. So this is a graphic that we created at Freedom. This is not out of a book. This is a leverage system that we believe. All businesses, regardless of real estate or not, have to have a lead generation system. They have to have a relationship building system, and then they have to have a transaction system. So what I would challenge you to do is, which one are you the most inefficient with, right? If you're feeling like you're getting a decent amount of leads, then maybe don't start with that. Maybe it's about your follow-up. Maybe you're not getting as much referrals. Maybe it's relationship building. Maybe your transactions are pulling your hair out and you're up till 3 in the morning, updating your documents. Maybe that's where you have to go, right? But find your one of these 3 that you're the most inefficient, you're deficient in, and then work through that, and then you can help work through those. But a lot of the systems that we need to put in place are already there. Your brokerage has systems already for you. It could be a database. It could be a transaction system. It could be email software system. We'll go into a few. But are you utilizing all the system? Then we talk about leverage of technology. These are just a few. Technology is a beautiful thing. We always hear that technology is taking over our industry. We're not using the technology to leverage our time. That's the problem, right? Database email automations. I have so many people, top producers. I go into their database, and yes, they have their contacts in there, but they don't actually have an automated email that goes to their database once a month. It's a click of a box. It's like that simple in most CRMs. Text message automate, email templates, right? We coach to a lot of people using Constant Contact. right? You can create it, you can automate it, you can set when it's going to go out. It can go repetitive. It can go, I think I sent one to you guys, like it's multiple. You can make it easy. We also use scheduling software. Do you guys use any type of scheduling software? I use You Can Book Me. It's free, or you can get the paid version, but free will work. So rather than texting back and forth, like, when do you want to see houses? When do you want to do a listing appointment? Send them a link that says, whatever, this is what I have available, right? So it's easy. Mary, you need that. Like, it's technology, right? So I'll go on my website real quick, the Freedom Companies. If you're like, hey, Drew, I want to talk about coaching. I want to talk about this. Book a session. This is my calendar. If you want to book an appointment with me, go for it. It sends me an email. Then the cool thing is there's an automated email that sends afterwards that says, I'm super excited about our appointment. Fill out this Google form so I can learn more about your business. You could do that with a buyer consultation. You could do that with a listing consultation. You don't need to be on the phone for 30 minutes with the seller asking them what their square footage of their house is. They can do it on a Google form, right? They can see what time works for them, and you can see what time works for you, right? So leverage technology. Also, direct mail, where people are like, oh, I need to hire a certain coaching company because they have automated emails and automated mailings that go out. There's a lot of direct mail places that do automation at a much affordable cost, and you don't even realize it goes out. I have people that send really nice, high quality magazines to their database. It's automated. It looks like it's coming from you. It's a beautiful magazine, but I want you to think about that. And then the last is transactions, is leveraging people. The first hire should not be an assistant. Even in the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, it doesn't talk about hiring an assistant. You start with what they call a cost of sale, which means if you're not selling something, it doesn't cost you any money. So transaction coordinator I don't know why people don't have them. Like, to me, that's a huge leverage point of your time. So most transaction coordinators, you get a house under contract, you obviously give them, and they run it to the finish line for you, right? Paperwork and compliance. Pay $200, $300, $400, whatever the transaction file fee is, but you pay it at closing, right? So one of the challenges I would say is if you're not ready to hire a full-time assistant, what are you leveraging? Are you leveraging a transaction coordinator? Do you have somebody that maybe can help post on social media for you, right? There's also Fiverr. Have you ever heard of Fiverr? Fiverr. It's a great resource, right? The stuff that you hate, the stuff that you're not good at, that's going to take time for you to learn and figure it out yourself. Number one, you're going to get a pit in your stomach. Number two, it's going to suck up the time rather than you focusing on things that you love and enjoy, right? So I wanted to end with, it's just about you guys building that momentum and keeping that up. And a lot of times this last piece of leverage, we hire too late. We're so busy in real estate that we're like, I'll hire an assistant later. I'm too busy. What we find, and again, this is in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, is hiring great talent, exceeding your standards. It has the capacity to expand your business, grow it bigger than you even thought possible, and it gets your time back, right? So I want you to kind of go into the rest of this week, kind of marinating on this a little bit. I'll send you the recording and the PowerPoint, but it's a combination of those four things, right? It's about the discipline. It's about taking self-care. It's about the leverage piece, right? It's about all of those things connected together. So I know we're about 5 minutes over, so I'll hang out with you if you have any more questions. But again, thank you, Mary and Clock Tower, for the opportunity. I will be sending you an email with a feedback form. We love feedback, and all those training surveys we put into an entry for a $100 gift card. So please do that. And these are our preferred vendors that we work in our organization called the Freedom Companies. But take a screenshot of this. If you need to communicate with me offline, text message, email, or you can even book a session through my website for the Freedom Companies. I'm an open book. I'm happy to help in any way I can to give you some time back, because I know you guys are super hardworking individuals and you deserve some time. So I'll unshare the screen and you guys can hop off if you need to, but any last things that you want to cover, Jackie, Mary, Hugh, before we kind of end for today? Or something I missed?
I just want to show my appreciation for the opportunity. A lot of great information today. Thank you.
Of
Thank
course,
you
sure.
for your time, man. Really appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you. Okay, and I will,
Yeah, what about your,
from the emails, yes, I will make sure that everybody gets their trade coffee coupon. And then I guess I will,
you could do a little drawing later once we get, I can give you the whole list of who attended.
there we go. And
Carpool discount or the gift card.
Carpool, $50 gift card to Carpool.
And that really cool
And the book,
Richmond
the
book.
Really Richmond, a city guide. And
Yeah.
no, yeah, there we go. But everybody gets a trade coffee coupon. So
Well, everybody registered, so I'll make sure Hugh, Jackie, Mary has all the emails so we can get you those raffle drawings, and Mary can let everybody know who won. Okay? Well, thank you for your time. Hopefully we can see you guys in person soon and the opportunity. If you need anything from me, just reach out. All right? Thank you, guys.
We will do. Thank you, Drew.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Drew.
thanks, Jackie. Thank you, Hugh.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Drew.
Absolutely. My pleasure. It was awesome. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.